Hi, good morning, everyone. Very warm welcome to all of you to this first ever edition of Pantomatics, the inter-school quiz by St. Kabir Public School. Thank you all very much for representing your respective institutions, taking time out on a Saturday morning to be here with us as we are going to, over the next 60 to 75 minutes, quiz you on a variety of topics. And of course, today is the preparatory for the grand finale, which is coming up tomorrow, right? Okay, great. So I think we're all set to get started. It's my pleasure and privilege to invite the team from St. Kabir over here to begin proceedings today and to welcome all of you to this quiz and talk a little bit about the quiz itself. I would like to invite the man whose vision has made this quiz happen, Mr. Gurpreet Bakshi. Welcome, sir, and over to you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone. Season's greetings from Chandigarh. And on behalf of our director and founder principal, Mr. J.P. Singh, I would like to welcome all of you to the first of its kind quiz, virtual quiz, which we're organizing along with Venkatesh. And I'm actually grateful to all the principals and heads of schools who have given their consent and are participating in this quiz. Thank you very much. All the best to all of you. Over to the principal.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sure a lot of people would be intrigued by the word pantomath because it does not occur in most dictionaries of English language. Well, a pantomath is a person who wants to know everything. Therefore, pantomatics seem to be just the right word for a competition on knowledge about everything and, of course, by extension, sharing it with others. General knowledge as a term is actually very misleading because it is anything but general. It actually signifies knowledge that is both broad as well as deep. Therefore, to succeed at this mammoth task, our school is proud to collaborate with Consult Nexus, the quizmaster company par excellence, who I'm told is also supporting such glamorous events as Kaun Badega Crorepati, as also highly technical quizzes for corporate training. So, well, participants, you are getting an idea of generally where you are going to be taken in this quiz by them. The second question that I would want to touch upon is the need for introducing a quiz of such a vast proportion. There are already highly specialized Olympiads of every hue and color available these days. So why a quiz on general knowledge? A detailed answer on this would, of course, take me more than a day to cover on all the aspects. But then to give you a short insight into this, let me just say that preparing for pantomatics would have compelled students to broad base their vision beyond mere bookish knowledge and thereby empower themselves to think out of the box like true experiential learners. Today, we have the best brains from 19 schools of the Tri-City and adjoining cities, and I'm sure that the success of the inaugural edition of this quiz will snowball into a movement to rival the best of the quizzes that have ever happened in the past. One such quiz that comes to mind is the Bournvita quiz, which used to be the rage when we were young. Then the benefit of the quiz will not just be confined to the participants over here. Now, each school will want that in the best of the students should come and represent the school over here, which means that each school will also have will put into place some kind of a competition or change its ethos in such a way to get the best and the most deserving student to represent the school, and that means that this will improve the overall standard of learning of each and every school. So here's wishing all the participants and the quiz organizers great fun and great success for the next 2 days. May God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think that was inspirational, useful, and with your good wishes and with all of your blessings, we will get started the inaugural edition of what maybe many years later, when the history of pantomatics is written in its and when we reminisce in the 10th or the 15th edition, this is a moment we will all remember, that at 11 a.m. on the 21st of November 2020 on a virtual platform, we got started with pantomatics. And on that happy note, let's get started. Right. So this is pantomatics, as was explained. to you just now by the principal, something that means all-pervasive knowledge. So we've tried to put together questions from all walks of life, from all spheres, from all possible areas of interest. And in any good quiz, I feel you will find that the questions seem very complicated, but the answers are fairly straightforward and some things that you've heard about and that you've always been familiar with, right? So the one thing we do not want to hear from any of the participants is the word pass. So do not pass on anything. Make a guess. I always keep saying, if you don't know anything, it's a sports question, say Sachin Tendulkar. You might be correct, right? And you might get yourself 10 points. So don't let anything go on this. The quiz, of course, is been organized by St. Kabir Public School in Chandigarh and supported on the research, tech and hosting by Nexus Consulting. We are here in semi-final 1 of this quiz. The format is that 19 schools from the Tri-City area and adjoining areas have sent representatives, 1 per school, to take part. We have 2 semi-finals, the first one with 10 participants, the second with 9 participants. From each semi-final, we are shortlisting 4 of you to be in the grand finale tomorrow, right? So please remember, your objective here is not necessarily to win this quiz. It is merely to be in the top 4. That is all it is. So long as you finish 4th, irrespective of whether you finish 1st or 4th today, you will be in tomorrow's grand finale. Instructions, etc. for that will be sent to you if you qualify later today, right? So here are some wonderful prizes lined up post the grand finale tomorrow. If you should you be in the top 3, all finalists tomorrow will get certificates. There will be trophies for the winners. I'm told that there is potentially a trophy for the school as well. And then, of course, there are cash and equivalent prizes for the winner, the runner-up, and the second runner-up. So as you can see, more than 10,000 rupees worth of prizes, making it one of the most prestigious quizzes around in the country. So, and apart from all this, of course, you will be fighting for the glory of your school, because remember that each of you is representing your school. There's only 1 participant per school. So the winning school's name is going to be out there, etched in gold, so to say, as the inaugural winner of Pantomath, right? So let's meet our contestants.
I am Ankur Khurmi from Guru Nanak Public School, Chandigarh.
All right. Which class are you in, Ankur?
I am in 12th.
You're 12th. And have you participated in quizzes before?
Yes.
Okay.
I participated.
Okay. All right. So you'll be fairly familiar. Welcome. After Ankur, our contestant number 2 in today's final, in semi-final, is Archit Shokant from Bhavan Vidyalaya School, Chandigarh.
Yes, sir. I'm Archit Shokant from Bhavan.
Which class are you in, Archit?
Sir, I am also in 12th.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Welcome. Contestant number 3.
Thank you, sir.
Bhavya Gautam, St. Stephen's School, Chandigarh.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, sir, myself, Bhavya Gautam. I'm from St. Stephen's School, and I'm in 9th grade.
You're in 9th grade. Wow. Welcome. I think a special round of virtual applause for you, because you're among the youngest contestants here. The participating criteria was students from grades 9 to 12. So all the very best to you as
Thank
you
so much
against some of your older friends.
Thank you so much.
Number 4 is Devanshu Sethia from New Public School, Chandigarh.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Devanshu Sethia. I'm from the New Public School. I'm in class 9th.
You're in class 9 as well. Welcome, Devanshu. Number 5, we have Harish from Sacred Heart School, Moga.
Hello everyone, myself Harish Kumar. I am a student of 12th class Humanities group, and I have participated in quizzes at the school level. As the principal sir mentioned that Pantomaths means that a person who is ready to learn. So main aim of mine is not to win today, but to learn. And by the grace of God and by the support of you, sir, I have also learned 2 new words. First is the Pantomaths itself, and the second one is hue and colors. Thank you very much.
Thank you and welcome. Good attitude to have. definitely you should look at learning and you should look at winning both. Well done. Welcome. Okay. Next, number 6, we have Harnoor Kaur from Learning Paths Mohali.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Harnoor Kaur from Learning Path School and I'm from grade 11.
Grade 11. Welcome, Harnoor. At number 7, we have Ishan Gupta from Manav Mangal, Chandigarh.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Ishan Gupta from Manav Mangal High School.
Which class are you in, Ishan?
I am in 10th grade.
You are in 10th grade. Okay, so we have a good mix. We have 9, 10, 11, 12 all represented. At number 8, we have Neeral Raina from Sopins, Chandigarh.
Good morning. I am Neeral Raina and I am currently in class 10th.
You are in class 10. Okay, welcome. At a penultimate semi-finalist is Sejal Trehan from Yadavindra Public School, Mohali.
Good morning, one and all. I'm Sejal and I'm from Yadavindra Public School, Mohali, and I'm in class 12th.
All right. And last but not the least, number 10 is Suvan Arora from Vivek High School, Mohali.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Suvan Arora. I am from Vivek High School and I'm in class 9th.
Okay, great. So we have, I think, 3 class 9 students, 2 class 10 students, a couple of class 11 and a couple of class 12. So it should be a good contest. Let's get straight into it. How this quiz works, we have 3 rounds. The first round will go clockwise, starting from Ankur and moving clockwise all the way to Suvan. The third round will go anti-clockwise. So we'll start with Suvan and move in the reverse order all the way back to Ankur. In between, we have a special round where there is 1 question to each of you, which you pick off a grid. And you can do a little bit of, take your chance over there a little bit. We have a power play kind of element that we have put in over there. Right. So let's go to round number 1. Round number 1 is our clockwise round. This is how it works. There are 10 questions. We'll go clockwise, starting with number 1, which is Ankur. Infinite bounce. If you're not familiar, what infinite bounce means is that the question goes direct to Ankur. If he doesn't answer, it passes to Archit and so on. And let's say the answer is given by contestant number 4, Devanshu. The second question will not go back to Archit. It will go to contestant number 5, Harish, right? So that way, randomly, the questions keep bouncing around. So the points are the same. You get 10 points whether you answer it on a direct or on a pass. And there is absolutely no negative marking of any kind. So please feel free to make guesses. Like I said, do not say pass. Make a guess at all points of time. And like Hatim, my colleague, has already told you before, we want to be, these are difficult times, pandemic times, yet we're going ahead and conducting this wonderful quiz. We'd like it to be played in the spirit of the game and very fair. So 2 things. One is I'm hoping that there is nobody else in the room apart from you all, right? And you will not try to seek external help. And number 2 is please keep your hands in front of camera like this all times, right? So that we are sure that you are not kind of accessing any other devices. There is nothing to write, nothing to type. The entire quiz is on oral question and answer, right? And I will clarify all doubts. I will give clues, etc. Time wise, I will be giving a little bit of more time for the person whose direct question it is. But then on the pass, I will be very fast, right? So when it passes to you, you need to have an answer ready. Otherwise, I'll just pass you on because you would have already gotten time from the direct answer. All right. So on that note, let's get started. All the best, everyone. Question number 1 of Pantomathic's first semi-final goes to Ankur. Ankur?
Yes.
The old French word pion, meaning foot soldier, gives us a word widely used in a particular sport. Due to its low value, the word is also used to refer to someone who is easily manipulated or sacrificed for a larger purpose, like it happens in the sport. So while you use this word in the context of the sport, you also use it in general terms to someone who is easily manipulated or sacrificed for a larger purpose. The original root word is given there. That's the French word pion. So tell me, what is this short word that we're looking for? It's a word that is used in a particular sport, but it is also used in general in the English language to refer to someone who's easily manipulated or sacrificed for a larger purpose. And this sacrificing for the larger purpose is what happens in the sport as well.
Okay.
Make a guess, Ankur.
Actually, I have no idea about this, so I want to pass.
Okay, you're going to pass. Okay, are you sure? Do you want to make any kind of guess?
No.
Okay, Ankur passes. It moves to Archit.
Sir, I also don't know. I have no idea about it.
Okay, passes to Bhavya. Make a guess. Look at the fact that look at the clues there. It says foot soldier. Look at the original word. Look at the fact that it's in a sport.
Soccer or football?
Not soccer or football. Not in soccer or football. Devanshu?
Yeah, I think it's the word pawn from the game of chess.
You think it's the word pawn from the game of chess, which means foot soldier, and it derives from the word peon. That's absolutely right. Great start. So finally somebody scores, and Devanshu gets off the mark and gives the first ever answer at a Pantomathix quiz. Devanshu Setia, well done. The answer is indeed pawn, and that gets you 10 points. So the word pawn comes from the old French word peon. And as you know, a pawn is used, as a piece that is sacrificed on a chessboard. And even in English, you generally use the word saying he was made a pawn and he was kind of given up or whatever. So well done, Devanshu, 10 points to you. The next question, therefore, will now go to Harish. Harish, in Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, Friar Lawrence, the character, sends a messenger to Romeo to inform him about Juliet's fake death. However, Romeo does not receive the message and believes Juliet is actually dead and therefore ends up drinking poison. Now, interestingly, this messenger that Friar Lawrence sent could not reach Romeo in time due to some restrictions that were there in Italy, where the play is set at that time. What caused the messenger's delay? I can only tell you that it's a very, very appropriate, relevant question to all of us, these days. So what caused the messenger's delay? Why couldn't the messenger not reach Romeo on time? And this is because of some restrictions that were there in Italy during those times.
Maybe because he didn't get anything to move fastly or quickly. So that is why he didn't reach on the time.
He didn't get the right mode of transport to move fast.
Yes.
Okay, nice guess. Not that. Passes to Harnoor.
Yes, sir.
So some restrictions were there in the country of Italy at that time when the play was set. And that's why the messenger got delayed. What exactly were these restrictions?
So maybe because of the Italian forces, there was maybe a pandemic going on that time, because of which the Italian forces did not allow him to pass the way.
And so what exactly, give me one more word. What happened to him? You said there was a pandemic and the Italian forces did not allow him and so on. But what was done to him? Or give me one word that we are all familiar with these days.
Quarantine.
Quarantine, absolutely. Well done, Harnoor. That's a very nice, well worked out answer. So this was the time in 16th century Italy where, much like the COVID pandemic now, there was a plague pandemic going on. And he was stuck in quarantine. In fact, that's how we get the original term quarantine in any case. It means that somebody who was kept aside for 40 days, and that's how you get the word quarantine. And because of the plague, and he was stuck in a quarantine, and therefore he could not take the message there on time. So, strangely enough, many years back, written by Shakespeare, but something that is very valid even today. Well done, Harnoor. Well worked out. That's good quizzing. Even if you don't know anything about it, try to make a good guess and get your points. 10 points to Harnoor. Question goes to Ishan. Ishan, in the books of this series, 5 of them are mentioned. One of these characters is more familiar to us than the others. Some of the other characters that are mentioned. So I'll tell you 4 of the characters. Number 6 is a Royal Marine Commando. 8 is said to be on leave and recovering from stress after a mission in Russia. 9 is an unnamed spy. And 11 is said to have vanished in Singapore. So what is common to all these characters, or who are these characters? And who is the most famous missing character that we all know very well? It's a character that was originally in a series of books, but we are probably more familiar with the character these days through movies.
Maybe they are in some forces or army.
Okay, and do you want to give me any names? Like who is the missing character?
So no idea about name.
No idea. So you're saying they are all members of forces or army, and
Yes.
you don't know who the missing one is. Okay, we'll pass to Neeral.
So I think these are the characters of Umbrella Academy.
Umbrella
And-
Academy. Okay.
And the missing one is number 5.
Okay, missing one is number 5 and Umbrella Academy. Nice guess. Good to see Umbrella Academy fans. Okay, Sejal, passes to you.
These are from the famous 5.
Okay, from the famous 5 series. All right, and who's missing?
Number 1.
Number 1. All right. Passes to Suvan.
I think that the missing one is number 10, and
Number 10. Okay.
and I don't have any idea from where are these.
You don't have any idea from where these are. Okay. All right. Passes to Ankur.
I think the missing one is number 10 actually, because I have no context, so I'm just guessing.
You have no context. You're just guessing. Okay. Doesn't matter. You should keep guessing. You never know. Right. Passes to Archit.
Sir, I have idea, sir.
No idea.
No
Okay. Passes to Bhavya.
I think it is number 10, and the person is Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. Okay, nice try. Not Sherlock Holmes. Okay, Devanshu has been nodding his way for a while. So let's see if he knows the answer.
Is the missing number 7?
Okay. And why?
James Bond.
James Bond. So who are all these characters? They're all commonly known as what?
Famous 5.
No. So you said the missing one is number 7, James Bond. What is the complete number over there that you use to refer to James Bond?
007.
007. So these are all, so all of these characters are so, and what is James Bond? What is his role or what is his designation?
Yeah, he's also a kind of spy.
Yeah.
He's undercover.
I'll give it to you. So these are all the 00 characters, right? So Ian Fleming wrote the James Bond stories in which there are other 00 characters mentioned as well. So these are all, operatives of MI6, the British Secret Service Agency. And while we only know 007, which is James Bond, there's also 006, 009, 011, and so on. Well worked out, well answered, Devanshu. 10 more points to you. This is indeed the James Bond and the 00 characters or the 0000 characters. Good, well answered. Question comes back now to Harish.
Just a second, Venki.
Yeah.
Everyone, can you please show your hands at all times?
Yeah.
Just make sure that it remains in that position throughout the quiz. We will be reminding you if your hand goes outside the view of the camera. All right. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Hatim. Okay, Harish, this is your question. This should be easy. Dash Ma Famous is a 2015 documentary set around an annual competition or event that is held in an Indian city. The Sabarmati River flows through this city. Which city, which is the blank? So the name of the movie is Dash Ma Famous. That dash is the name of the city. And what is this competition or event that is very famous in the city? And you can very obviously see that in the poster. Harish, unmute please and answer.
Is it Jamshedpur?
Jamshedpur, and what is the competition or event?
Is it the annual fair or something?
Annual fair for what? And what annual fair? Like what specific competition is this?
Kite flying competition or something?
Kite flying competition. So Jamshedpur and kite flying competition passes to Harnoor.
Yes, sir. So I don't know the city, but the competition is kite flying competition, and
the Sabarmati river flows through the city.
Is it Ahmedabad?
Ahmedabad, that's right. Why so hesitant? Absolutely correct. This is Ahmedabad. The title of the movie is Ahmedabad Ma Famous. This is Ahmedabad, and this is indeed kite flying, a very, very popular pastime over there. In fact, all of you may have seen or heard the movie Kai Poche. You get the term Kai Poche as well from the sport or competition of kite flying. So 5 points to Harish for saying kite flying, and the full 10 points to Harnoor for saying Ahmedabad and kite flying. Well done. Question now goes to Ishan. Ishan, Sergei Korolev, who lived from 1907 to 1966, was a very secretive man. In fact, his country kept his identity a secret as he was a very important person. His first big achievement came in 1957. His invention worked for 3 weeks before its batteries died. In the picture, the man on the right you'll see is Korolev. The man wearing a tie is a very, very famous person, very closely associated with Korolev, right? So simply tell us, what was Korolev known for? Okay, so on the right with the pen in his suit is Korolev. On the left is a very, very famous person wearing a tie. He has a, he is a name that all of you will be familiar with. Look at the name Korolev itself. Think about which country they could all be from and so on. And tell me, what was Korolev's role, or what was he known for? I'm not looking for anything very specific. Even a general answer will do. If you tell me, what was he known for?
Maybe he is a spy or lawyer. It can be
spy. Okay, he is not a spy. We'll pass you on to Neeral. Look at the name and look at the time frames given there.
He's known for inventing radio.
For inventing the radio? No, not correct. Passing to Sejal.
I think he's a rocket engineer and he was like associated with the Sputnik.
Perfect answer. Absolutely right. Give you the points. So do you know who the person on the left is? Who was the first person who went to space?
Neil Armstrong.
Okay, Neil Armstrong was the first person who went to the moon. Who was the first person who went to space? The Russian person.
I don't know.
Okay, doesn't matter. So that's Yuri Gagarin on the left. And this is Korolev. Korolev was the brain behind the Russian space program. Like Sejal correctly said, he was involved with Sputnik, which became the first ever satellite, to go into space. And then Yuri Gagarin on the Vostok became the first man in space. And all of that was driven by Russia. As you might know, at that time, there was a major competition between Russia and the Soviets and the US. It was not just Russia. It was the Soviet Union at the time. The Soviet Union and the US on who would, win the space war first. So Russia obviously put the first satellite and the first man in space, while the US put the first man on the moon, right? So good answer, well worked out. Now 10 points to Sejal. Question now to Suvan. Suvan, in 1956, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in India distributed a documentary film that was dubbed in 13 languages. The film took scrupulous care to avoid any matter which might be construed as propaganda. It was screened in 74,000 cinema halls across India. What was the government trying to educate the people about? It was an event that happened the following year in 1957. And it was an event that happened in 1957 across India. So in 1956, the previous year, the government created a film with various, details and I could say instructions and so on. But they carefully avoided any propaganda type thing. And they screened it in 74,000 cinema halls across.
So was India's first space station developed in that year?
India's first space station. Okay, no, the previous question was space. Don't keep going on the same track. Nothing to do with the space station. Anyway, why would the general public need to know about that? It's not that. It goes to Ankur. So what happened in 1957? That's the question.
Maybe it was related to partition and all.
Partition? No, not partition. Partition had already happened in 1947. This is 1957, 10 years after independence. Okay, let's go to Archit.
Sir, maybe it's some height with the foreign countries or something. I have no idea.
No. Passing you to Bhavya.
Maybe type of a civil war, something like that, a war between two.
There was no civil war. Devanshu?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
So what happened in 1957 that the government would need to educate everybody about? It was an event that happened, something that happened across India. And like I said, the government was trying to educate everyone. They gave details, instructions, all of that.
Cholera?
Cholera. No, it was not any disease prevention. Okay, Harish?
Was it about the second general election in India?
Perfect answer, Harish. Absolutely correct. This was the second general election in India. The first general election happened in 1951-52 when Nehru came to power. And in 1957, India had to hold its second general election. And which is why it said things like propaganda. They were very careful to make sure that it was not like a propaganda film for the Congress or any other party and so on. It was just about how the elections were going to happen, how are you supposed to go and vote and so on. Because those were early days, people were still kind of getting to know these things. And India, of course, ended up being the world's largest democracy in that sense of having people who had to go out and vote. Great answer. 10 points to Harish on that. Good answer there. Perfect answer, in fact, second general election. A question now comes to Harnoor. Harnoor, brutalism is a form of architecture in which the buildings look like this. I will show you two images. Something very closely linked to this form of construction is also the reason some ancient buildings are standing today. So what is this link? It's also a word used in English that means solid or real. Okay. So all I need you to essentially tell me is what is used as the base of these constructions. Okay. It's a one-word answer. It's also a word in English that means solid or real. So this is one example of brutalist architecture, right? And this is another example. So this is an old building, as you can see, right? But this also survives till today. This is also in the same form of brutalism. Give me one word to tell me what is used to build this, right? It's also a word that means solid or real. Question is to Harnoor.
Do you have to tell the material or what?
Yeah, kind of material. Yes, material is correct. It's a kind of, you can say it is a kind of composite material. It's a mixed material. It's a material that's created by mixing a couple of things.
I'm not sure, but
it's a well-known word. I'm sure you would have heard it.
it's brutal.
Ignore the brutalism is just the name given to these because they look very, kind of very hard and they look very what can you say, rugged and so on. But you have to tell me what was the material used to construct these?
I have no idea. I think it's marble.
Marble. Okay, good guess. So I'm looking for an answer like that. So not marble. Okay. Ishan?
Sir, is it cement?
Can you give me a better answer, Ishan?
The POP, gypsum.
Not POP, gypsum. Okay, I'll have to pass you to Neeral.
Concrete.
Concrete is the right answer, Neeral. Well done. It is concrete. And concrete is basically cement that is kind of, coarse and fine cement that is mixed together, set for a long time. Then it kind of binds and molds together and it's used for construction, which is why it gives the longevity to these constructions. So many of the olden buildings that do not survive were made out of, terracotta and other such material. But the ones made out of concrete, and concrete was what was used for the brutalism form of architecture, and concrete means real and so on. So well done. That was Neeral getting 10 points. Question going to Sejal now. Okay, Sejal, until recently, this ingredient was not cultivated in India as it only grew in cold and dry regions. India spends over 100 crores annually to import this pungent substance. According to an estimate, India accounts for 40% of its consumption worldwide. Its popularity in India is due to many households using it as a substitute for the onion garlic flavor. Simply tell me which ingredient is this?
Asafoetida.
Asafoetida is correct. Well done. Easy question. Hing or asafoetida. And asafoetida in it contains the word fetid, which means foul smelling. So asafoetida, and India apparently consumes 40% of the world's asafoetida. That was answered by Sejal. Question goes to Suvan. Suvan, these fruits are unique to an island nation whose capital city is Victoria. I'll also tell you that it's an island nation belonging to the continent of Africa. Okay. Empty shells from that country washed ashore in India long before the source was known. Indians were fascinated by the shape and thought that they had magical properties. And Indians thought that it looked like two of a common fruit. I would not say fruit in that sense, but two of a common plant item, which is very well found across India, especially in coastal areas of India. So they gave it a name which meant that. They gave it a nickname. Okay. So what is the nickname that was given to this, and which is the island country where they grew? So the nickname is two words. The first word signifies that it looks like two of a particular type of, plant product. The second word, think of a common tree that you will find, especially in coastal areas like Kerala and so on.
Sir, is it coconut?
Okay, what coconut?
I mean, I have to tell the species.
No. So you see, this is a nickname that was given to this. So what was the nickname given? So because the nickname was given because they thought that it looked like two of something. So give me a word for two, or when you find two of something.
Dicot.
Okay, nothing so complicated, simple word.
No idea.
Okay, and which island country in Africa? The capital city is Victoria.
Sir, I forgot the name. I had read it. It slipped from my mind.
Okay. All right. Let's pass to Ankur.
So is it Kenya in Africa?
Kenya. Okay, not Kenya. Kenya is not an island. And what is the nickname given to the fruit?
So no idea, sir. It is coconut actually.
What coconut?
It is coconut, but I don't know the nickname.
Okay. All right. Archit?
I also don't know anything about it.
Okay. Bhavya?
Sir, it is a type of coconut. According to me, it is a water coconut.
Okay, water coconut. Nice guess. And which country?
And Madagascar.
Madagascar. Excellent guess again. Devanshu?
So I also thought that it was Madagascar.
Okay. And for the first part?
No idea.
No idea. Okay. Harish?
Sir, I also think it is Madagascar, and the name of the coconut will be the Madagascarian coconut.
Madagascarian coconut. Okay. Harnoor?
Yes, sir. The island country is Madagascar, and according to maybe it's double cocoa.
Sorry?
Double cocoa.
Double coconut. Okay. Ishan?
No idea. Coco something.
Okay. And the island, the country?
Sir, Madagascar.
Madagascar. Okay. Neeral?
Sir, I do not have any idea about the name, but
Okay.
I think the country is Mauritius.
Mauritius. Okay. Nice guess. Okay. Sejal?
So I think the country is Seychelles, and the nickname Orange Coconut.
Orange coconut. Okay. So we started with Suvan. We actually have the answer between two people. Harnoor gets 5 points for saying double coconut. That's correct. It is called coco de mer or sea coconut, not water, as somebody said. It is called the sea. It's a species called sea coconut. But the Indians called it double coconut because it looked like, two coconuts in one. And the island country where it grows, and it's endemic, which means it grows only in this island country, is not Madagascar or Mauritius. It is Seychelles, whose capital is Victoria. So Sejal gets the other 5 points. So 5 points to Harnoor and 5 points to Sejal on that one. Okay. So last question of the clockwise round, and we come back to Suvan for this question. Suvan, all their names were an homage to the original works. In each instance, some part of the original's names was modified a little. So the word scarlet was changed to pink. The word Bohemia became Belgravia. The title empty house became empty hearse. And the word 4 became 3. So what is this new set which first aired in 2010? So essentially, I will just make the question simple for you. They were an original set of books. They have been made into movies, etc., etc., etc. But they were also made into a TV series starting from 2010. Okay. The TV series had a one-word title. What is this TV series, or what books is it based on? Questions with Suvan?
Sir, is it related to colors?
Colors.
Yes.
No. Tell me what is give me a name of a character who appears in a series of books, and there was a TV series made in English based on this character, which first came out in 2010.
Is it Robbie?
Is it what?
Robbie.
Robbie.
Yes.
No, not Robbie. Passes to Ankur.
No idea, sir.
Okay, passes to Archit. Archit, you have a guess?
I don't know, sir.
Okay, passes to Bhavya.
No, sir.
Okay, Bhavya?
Which I'm thinking about it.
Again, very famous. Nothing we are asking you is something you have not heard of.
Harry Potter series.
Not the Harry Potter series. Devanshu?
Sir, Three Musketeers.
Not Three Musketeers. Harish?
Sir, is the TV series Friends?
Not Friends. Harnoor?
So the language is English?
English, yeah, the language is English.
I'm not aware of this.
Just give me a famous character's name.
Is it Sherlock Holmes?
Just give me one word, the first name alone.
Sherlock?
Sherlock, that's correct. This is the series Sherlock, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as Sherlock Holmes. And the original stories in the Sherlock Holmes books were called Scandal in Bohemia, A Study in Scarlet, and so on. And when they made it into the TV series, they made it A Scandal in Belgravia, A Study in Pink, and things like that. Yeah. So this is Sherlock, the BBC Sherlock, which is a TV show starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman. All right. So that's end of the first round. I'm happy to say that almost all the questions have got answered. So the quizmaster hasn't scored anything. All right, but let's take a look at the scores. All right, yeah, we have Harish, we have Neeral at 10, we have Harish at 15, we have Devanshu at 20, we have Sejal at 25, and with that last answer, in the lead is Harnoor at 35. So 5 people have scored points, 5 people are yet to score. Not a problem. And remember that you don't need to win, you only need to be 4th today to qualify for the finals tomorrow. All right. Okay. Let's go back and continue with the quiz. So the next round is interesting. It's what is called a grid round. Choose your flavor. So, you just have to pick a random number from the grid, which will give you a question. Here, the unanswered questions will not pass. Now, one additional rule here, once you see the question, okay, you choose a number, you see a question. If you are very sure of the answer, you can say power play, okay? And then you will get, instead of 10, you will get 15 points for that question. But if you say power play and give me the wrong answer, then you will get a -5, okay? If you don't want to, if you're not very sure of the answer, don't say power play. Just go ahead and give me your answer. And if you don't say power play, I will assume that you're playing for normal scores plus 10-0. All right. It's a bit of a random pick. The questions in this are slightly tougher. And it's just a random pick of a number from a grid, which, it may get you a question that you may or may not like. If there is a 2-part question for which you say power play, you have to get both parts correct. All right. So let's go. It's just a grid. So you just pick a number from it. So we will start the first 5. We will do clockwise. And then from question 6, we will start anti-clockwise with Suvan. And then we will start the next round anti-clockwise anyway, starting with Suvan. Okay. So Ankur, pick a number.
Number 3.
Number? You want to go with number 3?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Number 3. Okay. Among the fascinating pieces of trivia about this structure include the fact that it has a 35-foot waistline, 25 windows in the crown, and it wears a size 879 shoe. The makers also found a way to represent the 7 seas and 7 continents on it. It's a very, very famous structure in the world that all of you would have seen. Okay, it is not in India, it is somewhere else, but it is very, very famous. What are we talking about? Now, Ankur, if you're sure, say power play and then answer. If you're not sure, just make a guess.
Okay.
I will point you to the key clues. The key clues you need to figure out are that it's a pretty massive structure, because it says it's a structure that has a 35-foot waistline. And your very important clue is that it has 25 windows in the crown. So think of a structure where you will see a crown over there.
Statue of Unity. Statue of Unity.
Give me a better name. Give me a correct answer. You're very close. Give me the precise answer. Tell me where it is.
It is in USA.
Yeah, in USA. What is it called?
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. That's the right answer. Well,
actually, I got confused between Statue of Unity and Statue of Liberty.
Not the Statue of Unity that is
in India.
In India, I told you this is not in India. This is the Statue of Liberty. Now, interestingly, if you see Liberty on her head has 7 spikes that are there. Those 7 spikes are supposed to be representative of the 7 seas of the world or the 7 continents of the world. So good, Ankur is off the mark. You didn't say power play, so you just get your 10 points on this one, Ankur. So 10 points to Ankur. Very good. He's off the mark. Good. Looks like 3 is indeed your lucky number. Well done. Let's now go to Archit.
Sir, I'll choose 4.
You'll choose 4. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Among the lesser known ones are the International Tchaikovsky Competition, the International Congress on Mathematical Education, and the World Congress of Soil Sciences. Among the better known ones are the Men's Hockey World Cup, the Copa America Cup in football, and the elections of US state governors. Okay. I will also give you a big clue and add on saying that you can add the Olympics also to this list. What is common to all these events? You can add the Olympics also to this list. You can add the Olympics and you can add the World Cups in some other sports also to this list. What is common to all these events? So it already says Men's Hockey World Cup, Copa America football, election of US state governors. I'm telling you, you can also add the Olympics. And in fact, you can add the US presidential election also. Looks like Archit had dropped out in between. Archit, are you back?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, it occurs in four years.
That is the right answer, Archit. Well done. It does occur once in 4 years. As simple as that. It occurs once every 4 years. Okay, so it's what is called a quadrennial event. It occurs once in 4 years. Again, you didn't say power play, so you get 10 points.
Yes, sir.
It's now Bhavya's turn to pick. Good, everybody is off the mark at least.
Yes, I would choose 7.
You'll choose 7. Okay. James Augustus Hickey was an eccentric Irishman who was jailed in the 1780s for criticizing the activities of Lady Hastings, the wife of the then Governor General of India. So he was jailed in India, right? Hickey did something unique to make the public aware of his views. It gave him a particular Indian record. So what did he do, or what was he the first to do, or what first did he start? What first in India can you attribute to James Hickey, or what first did he start? Remember, he had to make the public aware of his views. Okay, Bhavya, come on, make a guess.
So he went on doing hartals and went on fastings.
Oh, nice guess. He didn't go on a fast or do hartal. The correct answer, we can in fact try and pass this to the audience. Let's have some audience interaction. Does anybody from the Saint Kabir team or the audience who's watching this quiz know? Deepta or anybody else? If you know, just unmute yourselves and make a guess.
Is it he?
Oh, sorry. Is anybody else wanting to try?
No, Deepta, go ahead.
Okay. He launched the Bengal Gazette, right?
And what is the Bengal Gazette? What record does it have?
It's the newspaper that was known to bring out all of the, all the atrocities of the.
Absolutely
English
correct.
people. Yeah.
Absolutely correct. So he started India's first newspaper, the Hickey's Bengal Gazette. that is how he made his views known to people. So this is the first published newspaper in India. So Deepta, who's a top-notch quizzer herself and is the main organizer behind this event, gets it right. One for the audience. Tough luck, Bhavya. Good guess though on Hartal strike, but not the right answer, unfortunately. Okay, Devanshu, what number is your lucky number?
9.
9, all right. That's usually my lucky number too. So let's see how you go. Okay, 200 people who each paid an entry fee of 1 shilling witnessed this tournament. The winner, Spencer Gore, received 12 guineas in prize money and a silver cup donated by the sports magazine The Field. What first from 1877 are we talking about? So simply tell us what tournament is this? It was first held in 1877 and the first winner was a person called Spencer Gore. And to give you a clue as to which country the tournament may have been held in, the entry fee was 1 shilling to watch it and the winner got 12 guineas. So think about in which country shilling and guineas would have been used. And it's a very, very famous tournament in that country. Very famous sports tournament. One word answer will do. Let's have a guess, Devanshu.
And is the sport football?
I don't know. You have to tell me. I'm not giving any more clues beyond
I
this.
think English football.
You are guessing something in football. No, that's not correct. It's nothing to do with football. Anybody else wants to try this? For no points, you can just unmute and make a guess.
Formula One.
Wimbledon.
Wimbledon is correct. Yeah. Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Championships. Tennis. Wimbledon. Interestingly, after very many years and probably for the first time, we did not have Wimbledon this year in 2020. Even though the other 3 Grand Slams happened, Australian, US and French, we did not have Wimbledon this year because of the pandemic. Okay, tough luck, not football, it was Wimbledon. Question now, it's Harish's turn to make a pick.
I'll go with 8.
You'll go with 8, Harish, okay. In 1954, the government of Egypt decided to build the new Aswan High Dam. This would result in a flooding of the Nile Valley. Since the valley contained many monuments, an appeal was launched to save them. What came about as a result was something that endures to this day. Several sites in India, in fact, exactly 36 sites, I think, in India, are part of this famous list. What is this list?
The
36 sites or locations. If you are sure, you can say power play. Otherwise, you can go for a direct. Up to you. Yes, Harish.
I'll go with the power play.
Power play, okay.
UNESCO's list of cultural sites.
Give me a slightly better answer.
UNESCO's list of World Heritage Sites.
That's a great answer. Absolutely right. So the UNESCO World Heritage Sites system was established because UNESCO felt that some of these monuments needed special taking care of, special funding and special preservation and protection. And they could act as tourist magnets as well. So you formed the UNESCO World Heritage Site list. And in India, there are now not 36, but 38 World Heritage Sites, right? And Italy leads the list with the most number of World Heritage Sites in the world, but the first ever was done in Egypt. So great answer, Harish, and well done on a power play. So that's the first power play used up, and that gets you 15 points. Okay? So 15 points to Harish on that question. Now we'll kind of go reverse. So we'll start with Suvan.
Sir, I will go with the number 11.
You'll go with the number 11, all right. The Merlin Award for the best magicians in the world is named after the legendary figure Merlin from the stories of King Arthur. The statuette for the prize depicts something that we closely associate with magicians. So something that you often talk about, or a particular type of trick that magicians would do. What does the statue look like? We just need a description in a few words.
So does it include an hat with a wand?
Okay, and what exactly does it show? Like, it shows a kind of action. What action does it show?
Performing a swish with a magic wand and disappearing something, or taking a rabbit from a hat.
Taking a rabbit from a hat is a good answer. Well done. It shows a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat. So as you can see there, that's how the statue looks. A magician who's pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Good answer, Suvan. 10 points to you. Nicely worked out. Okay. Sejal?
Number 10.
Number 10. The Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna Award was first awarded in 1992, and the chess grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand was the first recipient. Among the people who have received it, only one person has been awarded for excellence in two sports. In this person's case, it was only natural that he was awarded for both, because he plays both sports quite well. And in fact, a lot of people don't understand and get confused between these two sports. Okay. So who is this 23-time world champion? He actually lives in Bangalore, and he's won the world championship in both the sports put together a massive 23 times. I will, if you are sure, of course, you can go for a power play and give me the name. But if you are not sure and you can't give me the name, I'll give you 5 points if you tell me the two sports. And these are indoor sports, okay? The sports are often confused with each other because people don't really understand the difference in rules.
Sir,
Yes.
Geet Sethi in pool and snooker.
Geet Sethi, what and snooker?
Pool and snooker.
Pool and snooker. Okay. You are actually very, very, very close. I am very tempted to give you some points, but unfortunately, I cannot. And you made a very good guess with Geet Sethi. It is somebody very similar to Geet Sethi, but a little younger to Geet Sethi, more modern player in the same sport. And you got one of the sports right, which is snooker. The other sport is billiards, not pool. Okay. The other sport is billiards. And does anybody know the name of the person?
Pankaj Advani.
Pankaj Advani. Pankaj Advani. So when most others were given the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna for a single sport, like Dhoni got it for cricket, Sachin got it for cricket, Pulela Gopichand got it for badminton and so on, but Pankaj Advani got it for billiards and snooker. Yeah, this is Pankaj Advani, fantastic sportsman, not very much talked about or well known, but has brought great laurels for India. Sejal, very close, good guesses, but sorry, can't give you points. Neeral, your turn.
Sir, I'll choose number 5.
Number 5. The periodic table lists elements based on their atomic number, which is the number of protons in the nucleus. This particular element is listed at 29, but it's claimed to be the first ever element known to man. A country's flag shows the nation's map in the color of this element. And, the country also kind of gets its name because of the Latin name of the element. Name the element. Very, very, very common element. Very basic, common, important element. And a particular country's name also comes from this element. And so it shows the flag of the country, interestingly, shows the map outline of the country in the color of this element.
Is it iron?
It is not iron, I'm sorry. Anybody wants to guess?
Copper.
Copper is correct. And do you know which country it is?
Chile.
It's Cyprus, yeah, and copper, Cyprium, Cyprus. And if you see the Cyprus flag, it's actually got the map of Cyprus on it. There are two countries with flags like that, just for you to remember for our future quizzes, Cyprus and Kosovo. Both these countries on their flag have the outline of the map of the country, and it's in a brownish color to represent copper. Okay, no points to Neeral. A chance for Ishan. 1, 2, 6 or 12?
12.
12. The memorial park at this site is retained like this, with the building seen in the background looking dilapidated. This is to remind people of the horror of what had taken place. What is this horror, which is commemorated by a special day on 6th August every year? This is the memorial, and if you can see the building in the background, it's all broken and destroyed and all that. It's been deliberately left like this to remind people of the horror of what happened on 6th August. Where is this and what happened? If you're sure, go for a power play. Otherwise, make a guess.
Due to some world war.
Okay.
Some...
What in the world war? It says horror. So think of like the most horrible thing that happened.
No idea.
Come on, make a guess. You started on the right track. You said World War. What is the most, horrible thing or the most destruction that happened during the World War?
Attacking on public.
No, think about in which city or in which country did.
Can't guess.
Can't guess. Okay. Anybody wants to guess?
Germany.
Hiroshima.
Hiroshima. Who said
Hiroshima.
that? Suvan.
Yeah, Suvan. Well done. This is indeed Hiroshima. So this is the Hiroshima Day, Hiroshima Peace Memorial. And the first ever atom bomb in the world was dropped on Hiroshima on 6th August 1945 by the US and saw the destruction of Hiroshima. So they maintained the building to remind people of the horror of nuclear warfare and the atomic bomb. Okay. All right. Last question of the round. Harnoor, do you want 1, 2 or 6?
So 1.
1. The tiger species in the stamp shares its name with the type of falcon in the picture. The bird breeds in Siberia before migrating in large flocks across India to winter in southern Africa. What is the common 4-letter name shared by both the tiger and the falcon? This is the falcon. It's called the dash falcon. So like it says, it breeds in Siberia, but it does a very long migration to South Africa via India. And this is the tiger. It's one of the tiger species. Again, it is all named after a kind of river and so on that is there in the Siberian region. So what is the 4-letter word? It's a little bit of a tough question. It's a river that is common to Russia, and it actually forms a border between Russia and China.
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing, like, is it Swan? S-W-A-N.
Swan. No, it's not Swan. Does anybody know this?
So is it the Sangpo River?
No, not the Sangpo. Anyone from the audience? Deepta, do you know this one?
Not quite, but I'm going to take a shot. Is it Ural?
Not Ural. Good guess. Not Ural. Ural are the mountains. So the river there is called the Amur River, right? So this is the Amur falcon. It does a very, very long kind of migration. This is the Amur falcon and the Amur tiger. So this is Amur. Right, that's the end of the grid round. I think we'll hold back looking at the scores. We'll look at it a little later in the interest of time because we are a little behind schedule. We want to finish by about 12:30, 12:35, right? So let's get started with the anti-clockwise round. Same rules as before, except that we'll go reverse this time, starting with Suvan. Same infinite bounds, no negatives, part points, and hands in front of camera. All right. Ankur and Archit, contestants 1 and 2, are both on 10 points. Number 3, Bhavya yet to open account. Number 4, Devanshu on 20. 5, Harish on 30 because of the power play in this round. Harnoor on 35. Ishan yet to open account. Neeral on 10. Sejal on 25 and Suvan on 10. So at the moment we have Harnoor in the lead on 35. We have Harish in second place on 30. Sejal in third place on 25. And Devanshu in fourth place on 20, but we have 3 people on 10 and 2 people yet to start. Okay. Suvan, here is your question. Mickey Mouse has appeared in a few adaptations of well-known novels. Here are pictures from 2 of them. The first is based on Uncle Tom's Cabin. The second one is a character created by a British author. So in the first one, what English word was modified to get the title melodrama? And who is Mickey Mouse acting as in the second one? So in the second one, which is this one, who is Mickey Mouse acting as? Most importantly, look at this kind of line or saying that is mentioned over there, saying time is money. So it was a character who had a lot to do with money, and it was a character created in a novel by a famous English writer. So who's the character that Mickey is acting as on the right? And on the left, the title says melodrama. Which English word was modified to get melodrama?
Sir, was the word melodrama.
Okay, melodrama. And which character is Mickey acting as on the right? A character always involved with money and, always worried about money and so on. It's a character. Sorry?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. No, not Scooby-Doo. Sejal?
So the tradesman.
Say again?
A tradesman.
No, I need the name of a specific character.
A character,
From
is
a
it
novel.
like a living person?
No, it's a character from a novel. So your answer has to be something like Albus Dumbledore, something like that. It's a character from an old novel written by a famous English writer who's always obsessed about money.
Benjamin Franklin.
No, like I said, I'm not looking for a real life person. Passing on to Neeral.
So the English word is melodrama, and the character is I just a second.
If you don't know the character, give me the work and describe the character. Then also I'll give you points. No problem.
The character was part of the play Merchant in Venice, written by William Shakespeare.
Not Merchant of Venice. Not Merchant of Venice. So I will pass you. Ishan. You were thinking of Shylock, I guess. No, not that. Ishan, do you have a guess?
Some writer.
No, not a writer. Passing you to Harnoor.
Was he like playwright?
No. Like I said, I'm not looking for a real life person. Harish.
The play is melodrama, and I'm not sure about the character.
Okay. Devanshu.
Is it Scrooge McDuck?
And what's the word on the left?
Melodrama.
Melodrama. And Scrooge McDuck. And Scrooge McDuck himself was based on what character? Original character. Created by which author?
I don't know the author, but I saw one series where he was obsessed with gold.
Okay, I'll give it to you, though you're not exactly correct. Scrooge McDuck is a different character. This is obviously not Scrooge McDuck. This is Mickey Mouse. But Mickey Mouse is playing Ebenezer Scrooge, right? And Scrooge McDuck's character is based on Ebenezer Scrooge. So Ebenezer Scrooge from A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is the character. And Ebenezer Scrooge is supposed to be a big miser and very stingy and obsessed with money all the time and so on. So you said Scrooge, that's fine. Take your points, though it's not Scrooge McDuck. Scrooge McDuck came a little later and was itself based on Ebenezer Scrooge. 5 points to Suvan for saying melodrama, and the full 10 points to Devanshu for melodrama and Ebenezer Scrooge. Question to Bhavya now. Bhavya, this alliance was signed by the USSR and 7 other socialist republics in Poland in reaction to another intergovernmental alliance that still exists. Following the German reunification, East Germany withdrew from this alliance. In 1991, the remaining nations declared an end to it. What was this alliance called? It was named after a capital city of a country. So it was an alliance primarily among the socialist republics that used to be there. And then after 1991, after the USSR split up and the Berlin Wall fell and so on, then this alliance got dissolved. What is the name of this alliance? It's named after a world capital city of a country. And the country, in fact, is given in the question.
Is it the capital city is Moscow?
Moscow. Okay, Moscow alliance. No, good guess though. Archit?
No, sir, I have no idea.
Archit has no idea. Ankur? Ankur, you'll have to quickly make a guess.
Sir, no idea.
Okay, Suvan?
Sir, is it Warsaw Alliance?
Warsaw Alliance or Warsaw Pact is the right answer. That is correct. So it was called the Warsaw Pact simply because it was signed in Poland and the capital of Poland is Warsaw. So this is called the Warsaw Pact. Well done. 10 points to Suvan. Question to Sejal. Sejal, Sarod Maestro X, whose picture you'll see, composed this rag in honor of Indira Gandhi after her assassination. He said that in the sad hour that followed her death, the raga was born in his heart and mind, which he humbly dedicated after her name, after her childhood name. What did he name the raga and who is the composer? I'll play you a little clip. That is enough. Here is a picture of the person with Indira Gandhi while she was alive. So tell me who is the composer and what was the raga called? It was named after Indira Gandhi's childhood name.
Sir, composer Amjad Khan.
Okay, give me a full name.
Amjad Ali Khan.
Amjad Ali Khan. And?
Name of the raga, Hindu.
Hindu, okay. Amjad Ali Khan and Hindu. Passes to Neeral.
The rag name is Inder.
Inder, okay.
And the maestro is Amjad Ali Khan.
Amjad Ali Khan. Ishan?
Indra, the raga.
The raga is what?
Indra.
Indra, okay. Not Indra. Harnoor?
Is it in the?
No. Passing you to Harish.
The name of the raga can be Indu, and I'm not sure of its composer.
It's not Indu. Devanshu?
Nothing.
Nothing. Bhavya?
Sir, I'm guessing. I just need a minute. Sir, the composer is Amjad Ali Khan. And so just give me a minute. I am guessing about the rag. Name of the rag.
I already told you Indira Gandhi's childhood name. Need an answer now, please. Can't give you any more time on the pass.
And the name of the rag is Mother India.
Not Mother India. Passing you to Ankur. Sorry, Archit.
I don't know, sir.
You don't know? Okay, Ankur.
So is it Indu?
Not Hindu. Hindu has already been guessed by people. Passes to Suvan.
Sir, is it Rag Inda?
Inda. Okay, no. Why would we ask you like variants of Indra like that? 5 points to Sejal, who said Amjad Ali Khan. That's the right answer. That's the composer. And the rag was called Priyadarshini, right? Indira Gandhi's original name was Indira Priyadarshini. In fact, Nehru was quite inspired by Ashoka, who called himself Devanampiya Priyadasi. And after that, took the more modern version of the name and called Indira as Indira Priyadarshini. And so this raga was called Priyadarshini. Okay. Not Indu or Indar or any of the other variants, but Amjad Ali Khan is right. So 5 points to Sejal. Question to Niral. Niral, airports have short unique codes that are usually the first 3 letters of a city. For example, Mexico City is MEX, Istanbul is IST, and so on. A Middle Eastern city, very prominent Middle Eastern city, has the code DXB, which are not the first 3 letters of the city's name. This could be because the first 3 letters are already in use by another airport in a European capital city. So which are the 2 cities? I mean, the Middle Eastern city is a very, very common city, very well known to all of us.
The Middle Eastern capital is Dubai, while the European capital is Dublin.
Perfect answer. Take your 10 points. Dubai and Dublin is absolutely right. So Dubai's airport is called DXB. Dubai is not the capital, by the way. Abu Dhabi is of UAE. But Ireland's capital, Dublin, has the original code DUB. Therefore, Dubai is DXB. Well done. Neeral gets 10 points. Question goes to Ishan. Ishan, this mural graces the side of a 25-meter tall silo in a city suburb. It was created by street artist Loretta Lizio after a GoFundMe campaign surpassed its $11,000 goal in under 24 hours. So you will see the leader of a country. She is the current prime minister of a country on this image. If you give me her name, you get 10 points. If you tell me which country she is the leader of, you get 5 points. She was hugging this Muslim woman, and that became a very famous photograph, which then became painted on this mural. So either tell me her name or tell me which country she is the prime minister of. I'll give you an additional clue. It's a cricket playing country. It's a cricket playing country.
UAE.
UAE. No, UAE you think would have a woman prime minister? That would be very progressive and very good if that happened. Passing you to Harnoor.
I'm not sure.
Make a guess. I've told you, cricket playing small island country.
Is it Australia?
Okay, I'll have to pass you to Harish.
Sir, it is Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand.
Perfect answer, Harish. Great answer. Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand is absolutely correct. This is Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand. The mural is not in New Zealand. It's actually in Australia, in a suburb of Melbourne. But this is Jacinda Ardern from New Zealand. Well done, Harish. 10 points to you. Devanshu, your question. The first of its kind in India was built by Maharaja Savai Blank Singh in the second in 1727. The king took a lot of interest in its design and several architects were consulted before a layout was prepared. It is not, as is commonly believed, another place which was completed around 1960. Which city did he build? What is the two-word term for such places? So this is the first. So if you ask most people what is the first dash dash in India, they will give another city's name which was completed in 1960. But if you actually look at history, it is actually this city that was completed in 1727.
So I know that it's in Rajasthan.
Yeah. So
Maharaja Savai Jairaj Singh.
Come on, if you know it is in Rajasthan, take the obvious guess. Which city?
Yeah, it's Jaipur or Jodhpur.
Make up your mind. Give me one answer.
So Jaipur, I think.
Jaipur. And what is a city like Jaipur called? Two-word name?
Pink City.
No, read the question. It says he took a lot of interest in its design. Several architects were consulted. Then a layout was prepared. And you would have heard the same term being associated with another city that you are very familiar with.
So Hawa Mahal?
Not Hawa Mahal. You are not reading the question properly. Passes to Bhavya.
So the city is Jaisalmer.
Jaisalmer. Okay.
For the forts.
Jaisalmer, and for the forts, no. Archit?
No, sir, I have no idea.
Okay, Ankur?
Sir, the city is Jaipur.
Yeah, and what is it called? I mean, what is the two-word term?
And so I don't know the name of that place.
There is no name. It's just a two-word term in English. It's a term that is otherwise applied to a city that all of you are very, very familiar with. That's why we put in this
architectural capital.
Architectural capital. Okay, good guess. Not architectural capital. Suman?
The city is Jaipur only, and is the word term colored cities?
What city?
Colored cities.
Colored cities. No, not colored cities. Sejal?
The city is Jaipur and it's called a planned city.
And what is the other planned city that you know very well?
Chandigarh.
Chandigarh. That's correct. Absolutely right. That's why we asked this question. This is Jaipur. And if you look at history, Jaipur is probably the first planned city in India. The other, of course, is Chandigarh, which you all know very well. Le Corbusier and all that. But this is Jaipur. So Devanshu gets 5 points and Sejal gets the full 10 points. Okay, 5 to Devanshu, 10 to Sejal. 4 questions left. Question to Neeral. Neeral, the creature in the image is the -- sea anemone. It is named after a species of flora, which means it is named after a type of plant because it resembles that plant. So this is a sea creature that resembles a plant and is therefore called the -- sea anemone. Look at it and think about what plant comes to mind and tell me what is the name of the creature. 2 blanks. First one is a little short, second one is a little longer word.
Is it Venus flytrap?
It is Venus flytrap. Well done. Good guess. It is the Venus flytrap. So this is called the Venus flytrap sea anemone. Well answered, Neeral. 10 points to you. I think it's getting pretty close right now among the 6 people who are in battle for the 3-4 slots. Okay, let's see. 3 questions left. Ishan, this is yours. 538 is a website which focuses on politics, economics, and opinion poll analysis. It provides projections for major elections in the US. For the 2020 US presidential election, they allowed users to explore various possibilities if different states provided different results. Sorry, why is the website called 538?
Because of the electoral seats total.
I'll give it to you. Electoral college total in the US is 538. It's the total number of electoral college votes. The US, as you know, votes a little bit differently from India. It's not a direct system. It's an electoral college system. So each state has a number of electoral votes. And when you win the state, the electoral votes go to that party's presidential candidate. It's effectively, as you know, a bi-party system. Even though there are other candidates who are there on the ballot, it's essentially usually one Republican versus one Democrat. You need, there are 538 electoral college votes. So you need one more than half of that. So you need 270 to win. And, as we all know, Biden hopefully has won the election. Well done, Ishan. Well answered. Harnoor, penultimate question to you. The person in question was an Indian Air Force officer turned member of parliament who served 6 terms. He has a very appropriate surname. His son is very active in state politics in northwestern India. Whose autobiography is this, which has the appropriate title, Flight to Parliament? So you give me either this person's name or give me his son's name. His son is a young, dynamic leader. He was involved in some general disputes, etc. recently. And he is actually the deputy chief minister of his state. I mean, he was the deputy chief minister of his state. He was removed from that post. Think about the fact that it's a very appropriate surname for somebody who was an Air Force officer.
Is it Neelam Sharma?
No. Harish?
Sir, is it Sachin Pilot?
And but whose autobiography is this?
Sir, I am not aware.
So you are saying the son is Sachin Pilot?
Yes, sir.
I'll give it to you. So it is this autobiography is Sachin Pilot's father, Rajesh Pilot. Yeah. So I'll give it to you for Sachin Pilot. That's good enough. You're all too young to have possibly have known or followed Rajesh Pilot. So that's 10 points to Harish on that one. Last question coming up. Just give me 1 second before that so that we just make sure that we are. Okay. All right. Last question coming up. So I would like to once again say thank you very much to all of you. Wonderful participation. I hope all of you enjoyed the quiz. Don't worry about winning, losing, etc. All these things are a combination of what you know and luck and many other such things. So don't worry, don't be disheartened if you have not finished in the top 4 today. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you spent the last 1.5 hours on this quiz. You made guesses, you attempted answers, and you learned some new things, right? So that is all you should kind of be worried about or be happy about. So once again, my congratulations to all of you. I hope all of you keep quizzing, and I hope all of you keep the spirit of quizzing going and alive. Last question of Pantomathix semi-final 1 goes to Devanshu. Objects such as these in the picture have been made for thousands of years. They are used in sports competitions like football. They're used in football. They're also used in the military. They're used by the railways and so on. Historical records tells us that the English used them in the Crusades. They were also used about naval vessels. What objects? These objects come in varieties like pea, dog, police, pipe, and so on. Use the shape of the object in the picture as a clue and tell us what the earliest models of this object were made from. What material were they made from? So what is this? This is a very early form of something. What is it? And early forms of this were made from what material? Look at what this thing looks like. What creature does it look like? And it is an object that is used in sports, like I said, in football and so on. It is also used in the military. It is also used in the railways. Very small, tiny objects. It's also used by kids sometimes.
So I think that is a whistle.
Okay, that's a whistle. And what were the earliest whistles made from? Like, just tell me which creature.
So this looks like a fish.
Think a little bigger. Okay, I am going to have to pass you on. Bhavya?
Sir, do we need to tell the creature by which it was made earlier?
Yeah, correct.
Sir, it is a whistle which is made up of wood.
It's made, I said it's made from a creature. And Devanshu guessed fish. And I said you have to think bigger.
Creature is a crocodile.
Crocodile, okay, not a crocodile. Archit?
Sir, no idea, sir.
No idea. Ankur?
So whale.
What of a whale? What from a whale
The
did you
creature.
use to make this?
So whale's flesh or something.
How would you use the flesh to make what do you think this is, first of all?
So it is a whistle.
It is a whistle, okay. So how would you use, what of the whale would you use to make a whistle?
So whale's tooth.
I'll give it to you. It's whale bones, actually. It's whale bones. It's whistles, and the earliest whistles were made from whale bones. Okay. So 5 points to Devanshu on that. A very crucial 5 points. And 10 points to Ankur. Right. So that's the end of the quiz. I think time to look at final scores now.
Yeah, that's
Right. Bhavya unfortunately could not open account. We had Archit and Ishan with 10 points. Well done. We had, with that last answer, we had Ankur with 20 points. Well done. We had Suvan Arora with some good answers with 25 points. Okay, excellent. So we narrowly missing out. We had Neeral Raina with 30 points. Very, very close, Neeral. You gave one great last answer, but it was not enough for you to actually make it through. But very well done, very well done. Great performance. Finishing in 4th place today and qualifying into tomorrow's grand final is Harnoor Kaur. Well done, Harnoor. Qualifying in 4th place. Qualifying as joint runners-up of this quiz with 40 points. With that crucial last 5 points are Devanshu Setia, who gave the first answer, and Sejal Trehan. So Devanshu and Sejal, congratulations to both of you too. You also qualify for tomorrow's final. And winning the first Pantomatic semi-final is a contestant who said he doesn't really bother so much about winning. He's here to learn a few new things, but he's given some excellent answers. And our winner of the first semi-final is Harish Kumar with 50 points. Okay. So Harish, Sejal, Devanshu, and Harnoor, congratulations to all 4 of you. We will meet you all tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for the grand finale of the quiz. You'll get an email with a Zoom link and instructions, but broadly it's the same. It's going to be over a Zoom call. We need you to have your video on. Tomorrow you need to definitely be like on video all the time because we're doing a special studio recording with a virtual stage and so on. So today I'm doing this from home, but tomorrow I'll be doing it from a studio. So you need to log in at 10:15 in the morning tomorrow. We will send you the details through an email. Send Kabir will send you an email and we will see you in the finale tomorrow. To Neeral and to Suman, tough luck. You guys missed out very narrowly, but well done. And congratulations to all of you. So that concludes proceedings for Pantomatic Semi-Final 1. Thank you all very much and well played to all of you.